Good evening, all. Good evening. This is Spirit Journey. Today is Monday, January 13th, 2020, and the time live is 11:05 p.m. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I tried to do a live stream maybe 5 minutes ago, and I had technical difficulties. So I hope everything is up and running. I had problem with my mic. I use a Mac, and I had to update my operating system, and it's the Catalina operating system, and it interferes with certain aspects of OBS. That's the software that I use to record and to do live streams. So I hope it's working right now. Let me just check out everything else. And so I also invite you guys to say hello in the chat room. Writing a little note in the chat room to them saying hello. Well, what I want to talk about today. Oh, wait a minute. This thing is saying, sorry, chat is closed. Time to find another stream. Wow. That's weird. Okay. Well, I don't know what's wrong here. But either way, good evening. I hope you all are having a wonderful evening. This live stream is done in New York City. And I want to talk about Prince Harry and Princess Meghan. Yes, I want to talk about the latest news with regard to their desire to step down from more like an active participation of major royals. In short, with everything, I think their desire to leave and to move to Canada as a family, the three of them, I think that's an excellent, excellent idea. And I would love to know what your ideas are. So, they had a meeting, let's see, last Wednesday it was. They made an announcement on their social media, their desire to step down as active participants in the royal family, their duties. And it was said that they didn't go to the Queen first, and it was a surprise for everyone. You know something? I think the situation between Harry and Meghan, that it's obviously something deeper. Now again, just because some of the news that we hear, not all news that we hear is true. And I think in part the media has been abusing their privileges with media and saying things that are over-exaggerated or to invent news. And I think that's what's happening, that you could create a false reality. You could make, this is just my opinion, and again, everyone has their own opinion, but I feel that a lot of the stuff that we see with regard to the royal family is just hyped up. And it's to generate traffic over the media to generate interest and generate funds, money for these networks. They make money off of news. And so you have a biracial girl / black girl from the United States. She's introduced to Prince Harry, and they seem to hit it off right away. And I think initially, there was some negative news in the very beginning, and then it kind of, I think, once they got engaged, I think things kind of simmered down a little bit. It kind of simmered down a little bit, and people were saying how much they liked her. You saw her shaking hands with people. You saw being invited to the Christmas party, the family party that they had. Everything seemed okay. But as time went on, and I think also regarding her own family, that it seemed like the media just wanted to pick up on like her half-sister. And it was all drama. And I think the media just fed off of that. And then eventually you don't hear much about the half-sister. And then they get married, Meghan and Harry. But it's like everything. I don't have a television set, and I don't really watch the news, but I watch YouTube, and I get my info on that. And basically what you see online is a couple who go to events, they smile, shake hands, hugs, and that's about it. And then you hear all the he says, she said, or so-and-so had a spiff with somebody else. But actually you don't hear, you don't see anything, you don't hear anything, but we're giving opinions. And I even heard opinions about her not really being pregnant when she was pregnant. And you hear the venom in some of these women. Primarily it was women that I would hear criticizing that she's not really pregnant, and then when she had a baby, that's a doll, that's not a real baby, and it was really intense. So the media was making you think that she is a liar, a deceit, a trickster, and they would even show photos with her with an expression that is questionable of intent. And I don't know why. Like at first, sometimes that I might feel kind of seduced to believe the hype. But then my rationale would say, why? Why do I feel this? Why am I starting to feel this way about someone who I've never met? Someone I've never talked to. And I only see them over YouTube. But all these opinions. And I think there is racism involved in the whole drama. For example, when they were first dating, they said, her mother wears dreadlocks and she's straight out of Campton. And again, she's not from that type of neighborhood. And it created a picture of someone being of a poor social class, and Meghan is not from a poor social class. She lived in an affluent neighborhood, and she has a lot of good qualities. She got into Hollywood. She did all the what do you call it, cast calls. She got on like a game show as a hostess, a presenter, and eventually she got a movie role, a TV role. And I never heard of her up only until when she started dating Harry. But it was just someone, a regular person, and personable. And they decided to get married. But everything, it just seemed very negative. And I started analyzing. I said, why all this animosity? So again, I mentioned one thing about the name calling of her mother. And when she had the baby, someone did I forget what it was, whether it was a tweet or something, and it had a caption. It had two people, and the two people had a little chimp. And the caption was that I just had a child, something like that. And it's a chimp in human clothes. And so what is that implying? Well, I think the obvious is that it's alluding to the fact that, because at one time blacks were considered like chimps. And so it's alluding to her black race, even though she is of two races, black and white. But socially, she's classified by most as a black woman. So that's another offense from the media. They were making an issue about her holding her pregnant stomach. And you have I forget her name, Princess Kate, William's wife. When she was pregnant, they never said any negative comments of her, why she's holding her belly. It embraced her holding her stomach, how loving and all this and that. But in contrast with Meghan, they associated her holding her belly that it was some political statement and something of some type of criminality attached to it. And it's really something. So again, modern day racism, in my opinion, is subtle. It's subtle in the sense that they're not outright saying the N-word, things like that, but they may allude to the person's race, such as being from Campton, the mother has dreadlocks. So it's always pointing focus on some racial aspect, or she's an exotic. That's another nice euphemism for saying black person. Rather than outright saying a black person, they'll say something like exotic. What else? Just other things. Those are the two that really stand out in my mind. But so when I found out a couple of days ago of the announcement that they want to step down from their royal duties, then the media was talking about, well, they want their cake and eat it too. But I never heard them say that they want to eat their cake and keep it. But instead, what I heard that they had said was that they want to pretty much make it on their own. They want to bring in their own income. They want to be financially independent of their current system of making money. And I think that's very honorable. So I think it's very responsible for them to say that yes, they don't want their current roles in the royal house, but they do want to be financially independent and be responsible for their own income. And I think that's very honorable. But instead, I've been hearing a lot of criticism that, who who's going to take care of them, or what about security? Yeah, those are, security, that is a very important question. But it's just negativity. I personally think it is a good move for them. Yes, there will be some challenges with regard to they're making their move. Anything in life, when you make a big move, there's always other things attached. There are other considerations in the matter. But I see that I saw from ITV, it was like a documentary about them when they went to tour Africa. And they showed, they had an interview with her, and she does not look happy. She looked tired, and the life in her eyes was gone. And I was very surprised when Harry mentioned that every time he hears a flash go off or the clicking of a camera, it sets him back from the time, what happened to his mom. So that's like post-traumatic stress disorder. And so it's obvious that he's fearful. And I would imagine any new husband and new dad, they're going to be protective. So I can sense that protectiveness that he has. He doesn't want another, fatality. He's still coping. So things are getting tighter. And you know what else? What someone's not really talking about. I do notice, I have several things written down here. Now, I do notice that there's a different relationship, expectation, it seems like, with males versus females. You have female, I feel that the female royals, they have more to prove. They are scrutinized about how they dress. They are criticized if they're too heavy or too skinny, what type of hat they have. They even have videos on YouTube, and it has like a price tag on what every item that they have on. How much did it cost? But I've never seen them do that to the males. Never. They never compare who dresses better, Prince so-and-so or Prince so-and-so. They never make comparisons about their looks, who's handsomer, never comparing their dress. But the women, they're very, very critical. Women are also, the women have to go to what they call finishing school. Those who are born into aristocracy or royal families, they have to go to what's called finishing schools. I do not know whether the men have to go. I mean, the males, the young males. So those of you who might know, let me know if you've seen that. But again, I've never heard any requirement for them to go to finishing school to teach them how to be royals. Okay. I think there is let's see here. I think really history is really repeating itself. I did go online today, and I saw the story of there's another Prince Williams, but this is a Prince Williams of Gloucester. I'm not sure the pronunciation. Gloucester. He was a young man in the 1970s, and he fell in love with a young woman. And this was a European woman from Eastern Europe. She was an airline stewardess, and then she got into modeling, and she did modeling in Japan. And it was in Japan that she met this Prince William of Gloucester. And to make a long story short, the royal family disapproved of their relationship. Okay, also with this woman that he was dating. She was older than him. That was another component. And she was married. She was married twice, and she did have a child. So that is also reminiscent of someone else. How about Prince Charles? She was a divorcee. Oh, she was still married to the guy. I think she was. Camilla was actually still married when she was having an affair, and she also has a child. Okay, and then again there was, I think his name is Prince Edward, and he was from the 1930s, and he actually did marry his love. He's the one that abdicated from the throne. He became king, and he was king for 1 year, and he decided to abdicate because he wanted to marry his love. And this woman who he married was also a divorcee. She was from Hollywood. She was an actress. I'm not sure whether she had children or, from the prior relationship, but they did eventually marry. And in order to do so, he had to abdicate. So this is nothing new about people who are disproved, people who were once married before, because Meghan was married, and she also was an actress in the United States. She's also educated. I think she has a master's degree, but she's an educated woman. She got a job. She moved from home, and she lived in Canada for about 7 years. So she was an established, mature woman. But that wasn't really appreciated to many. So I think she was a quality person, that because she did do speaking on the behalf of the UN. She was invited to the UN to speak before she even met Harry. And so it shows that she was concerned about different social issues. And so I think she was a good catch. There was another thing that I thought was really interesting about this whole meeting, that when the media made very strong attention to the meeting at Sandringham, and that you had the Queen, Prince Charles, Prince William, and Prince Philip and the Queen all meeting together, and of course Prince Harry, all meeting together, how they're going to resolve the issue of Prince Harry and Princess Meghan, how they're going to handle this situation. Well, the Queen did say that she will allow them to step down, but they have to work at the particulars, how they're going to do this transition. But she prefers them to stay, but she will allow them to step down. I'm happy to hear that. But it's like what I thought was surprising about this meeting, the urgency. But what they didn't find so urgent, which I think they should have, was the story of Prince Andrew. Now, Prince Andrew, allegedly, okay, he's hasn't been put on trial and convicted, but he was accused of having sexual relations with an underage girl. And plus, he was associating with someone who was convicted of trafficking women. Well, I should say specifically that he was arrested for soliciting sex from a minor. And then, of course, last year, Jeffrey Epstein, he was arrested again for human trafficking and the sex trade. But again, he died in prison, so he couldn't be put on trial. But even though was about 10 years ago, this Jeffrey Epstein, he did maybe 13 months in prison, and even after he got out, Prince Andrew still continued to see him. And Prince Andrew did do an interview a couple of weeks back, and it was a real bomb. So I think something like that is more urgent. Someone who is involved by association, at least, someone who has done such vile things against women and vile things against minors as well. But yet they didn't have any Sandringham meeting. And I think that's really problematic. And problematic being that there is a queen, Queen Elizabeth II. And for her being a woman and not saying, wait a minute, you're involved in someone like that, you better, but nothing like that, to my knowledge, was ever addressed like that. So why wouldn't they hold an urgent meeting like that? Now, Prince Andrew did approach the Queen and asked for him that he may step down. And of course, she did say yes. But still, that urgency, that group family, again, this is a whole, the royal family is a business. And there's more than one person that helps keep it afloat. But they didn't have that same type of urgency to hold a family meeting, how they're going to handle that particular crisis. It didn't seem like a crisis in their eyes. And on top of it, Prince Charles. Now, Prince Charles is next in line to the throne. Now, Prince Charles committed all types of things when he was married to Princess Diana, and allegedly by some people that there was some possible involvement of Princess Diana's demise. Princess Diana had mentioned that she feared that her husband, Prince Charles, was going to try to kill her and make it look like a car accident. And lo and behold, what happened to Princess Diana? She died in a serious car accident. And it's very suspicious, the accident. So you have someone, and prophecy, so to speak, about Prince Charles, but yet holding no real Sandringham family meeting about the possibility of their involvement in Princess Diana's demise. Okay, and another thing with Prince Charles was friends with a man named Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile is a known pedophile, and he is also known for enjoying sexual relations with dead bodies, dead people. Now, I don't know what more perverted is that. Now, it's well known about this Jimmy Savile. So how come Prince Charles had allowed this Jimmy Savile, this known pervert, to counsel him and Princess Diana when they were having marital challenges? Okay, this royal family doesn't have like what they call intelligence people to investigate people who they associate with to find out if they're safe people. They didn't know anything about him. I bet they known exactly what he was about. He was also friends with the former Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. You don't think she knew what he's into? It's very problematic. So how come then I had, when before Jimmy Savile passed away, how come there was no Sandringham meeting for Prince Charles of his association with Jimmy Savile? But yet they're going to hold a Sandringham family meeting because a young couple, Harry and Meghan, don't want to fulfill, they don't want to stay doing the royal duties, at least in the same capacity that they're doing now. They want to move and they want to earn their own living, earn their own income. I think what may be happening here is that this is a smoke screen. What is it a smoke screen for? I think it's a smoke screen for Prince Andrew, because now they want to possibly hold, have the FBI interview, what's her name, Maxwell. Yeah, Ghislaine Maxwell. So, if this woman speaks, she may implicate Prince Andrew, right? So it was really getting heavy with this Jeffrey Epstein, who had died last summer in prison, and he's the one that was being charged with sex trafficking of underage girls, which is a very serious issue. But that doesn't seem to bring a real interest of a family meeting for that association. So it seems to be a double standard, and I think Harry and Meghan have a right to raise their child how they want to. And again, Prince Harry may know something, what might be going on with his uncle Andrew, right? He may know something. And maybe Meghan may know some things. There's always things going on behind the scene that has to be taken in consideration. Just like Princess Diana. She saw things behind the scenes that she because she married so young that she didn't feel privy to really share at the time. Okay? But see, Harry and Meghan are older at the time of them getting married. Okay? And so they have that maturity and work experience behind them. And being around, they have a new baby. They may not want their kid around Prince Andrew. And no one has said that. No one ever made mention to that possible concern. Going to family functions and having a man like Prince Andrew around. It's something that has to be thought of. They have their, how do you say, their standards. And I'm sure now, having a baby of their own, they have their standards, what they want around their kid. But no one ever said anything like this. No, there was no suggestion. So you're a new mom, new dad. You want to keep your family together. And you're getting stressed. And some of the talk regarding race and racism. Okay, some of the people in the media, they said no, they never heard of anything racialistic. But if you ask the black people and other people of color that live in Britain, I'm sure they're going to have their opinion and their ideas of racism. So I think it's really telling. I really hope that whatever what the decision is, I wish them well, Harry and Meghan. And I think with all this sex scandal, I think they're better off away from these people. It's just something about them. I feel that it's just going to fall. And when it falls, you want to get out ahead of time. And maybe this is what's really going on. They want to jump ship. I don't blame them. You got an uncle and a father that associates with problematic people. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be around that. I think it's a smart move. It's just going to collapse, I think. And it's interesting that when the year they got married, something told me I saw like 5 years. 5 years in their relationship, and then it's something's going to end. Maybe this is what I might have picked up. That here, it's less than 2 years from their wedding, and they already want to leave. Meghan already is living in Canada right now, and Harry is in Britain. So that's a separation right there. But I hope he quickly comes to her side, because I think they should stay together. I really want the best for them. Again, I never really used to follow the royal family, but I can't help but hear what's happening now. I think it's a great move for them, and there's a lot of things happening, a lot of changes that are happening in that country. They have what they call grooming gangs. Maybe they also heard about the grooming gangs in Britain, and they don't want to be around that either. See, that's not even being discussed with the royal family. You have a large institution, and you have serious issues of what's right and wrong that's going on, and it's not being addressed, and it's not being addressed by them, the royal family, those gangs, the sex gangs, the rapists, all these things. I mean, the grooming gangs that's rampant, that's happening there. Yeah, people are crying out, and I think Harry and Meghan are just sensitive to those issues that are happening in their country. Again, not all the news that you hear. And again, they might be privy to hearing or seeing different things. And they say, I had enough. So that's all that that I want to share right now. But again, history is repeating itself, and it's not the first time that a divorcee has been denied access to the royal family for marriage. It's history repeating itself. It's the same flavor. So it's a smokescreen, I think, to cover for Prince Andrew's sex allegations of allegedly getting involved with underage girls. I think a lot of things may be popping up, happening, and if they can jump ship now and support themselves, I'm sure they'll be able to take care of themselves. Yeah. So that's all I'm going to say right now. But I thank you guys for listening. And if you have, if you want to share what your thoughts are, just comment below, and you can share this video with friends and family members. And if you like the content and everything,